What if I told you that the very dream promising you freedom is actually your prison? Right now, as you watch this, millions of people are trapped in the most sophisticated form of slavery ever created. And here's the twisted part. They're paying for their own chains. Viktor Frankl survived the Nazi concentration camps, one of humanity's darkest chapters. But when he studied modern American society, he discovered something shocking. People living in the land of the free were experiencing the same psychological imprisonment he witnessed in Auschwitz. How is that even possible? Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly free? Not financially free, not socially free, but genuinely, deeply free in your soul. Can't remember? That's because you've been conditioned to mistake comfort for freedom, consumption for fulfillment. Frankl said, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." But what happens when an entire society loses its why and replaces it with a what? What to buy, what to achieve, what to show off? The American dream isn't dead. It's alive and feeding off your life force. But why does this matter to you specifically? Here's what Frankl discovered that will blow your mind. The wealthier a society becomes, the more its people suffer from what he called existential vacuum, a profound emptiness that no amount of money can fill. Look around you. America has the highest rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide among developed nations. We have more antidepressants, more therapy sessions, more self-help books than any civilization in history. Yet we're more miserable than ever. Why? Frankl called it the existential neurosis of our time. When basic survival needs are met, humans don't automatically become happy. They become lost. We've traded the struggle for meaning with the struggle for more stuff. And here's the kicker. Stuff never satisfies the soul. Remember when you got that promotion, bought that car, moved to that apartment? How long did the satisfaction last? A week? A month? Then what happened? You needed the next thing, right? That's not coincidence. That's design. Frankl observed something terrifying in post-war America. People had everything their grandparents dreamed of, yet they felt more empty than those who had nothing. He witnessed patients who had achieved the American dream, successful careers, beautiful homes, perfect families, sitting in his office asking, "Is this all there is?" But here's where it gets really dark. The system doesn't want you to ask that question. It wants you to believe that the emptiness you feel is because you don't have enough yet. More money, more success, more recognition. That's the cure they're selling you. What if the cure is actually the poison? What if the very pursuit of the American dream is what's keeping you from finding what you're really searching for? Now here's where it gets sinister. The modern slavery system is so brilliant because it makes you believe you're choosing your own chains. Every day you wake up and voluntarily walk into your beautiful prison cell. How does this work? Simple. They've weaponized your deepest human need, the need for meaning, and redirected it toward consumption. Feel empty? Buy something? Feel inadequate? Upgrade your lifestyle. Feel purposeless? Chase the next promotion. Frankl identified 3 sources of meaning: creative values, experiential values, and attitudinal values. But notice what the system offers instead: material values, status values, and comparative values. They've hijacked your meaning-making mechanism and pointed it toward their profit margins. Think about your social media feed right now. What do you see? People showcasing their purchases, their achievements, their lifestyle upgrades. You're not just consuming products. You're consuming other people's curated lives, constantly measuring your worth against their highlight reels. Here's the psychological trap. Every purchase promises to fill the void, but it actually deepens it. Because deep down you know that thing you just bought isn't who you really are. So you need to buy more to cover up that uncomfortable truth. And if you're finding this perspective eye-opening, if you're starting to see the matrix for what it really is, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, because we're about to go much deeper, and you'll want to be part of this community that's waking up to these uncomfortable truths. The most insidious part? They've convinced you that questioning this system makes you ungrateful, lazy, or unrealistic. But what if questioning it is the first step toward actual freedom? Here's what will shake you to your core. Frankl discovered that some prisoners in Nazi concentration camps, the most horrific conditions imaginable, had more psychological freedom than successful Americans living in luxury today. How is that even possible? Because those prisoners understood something that we've forgotten. External circumstances don't determine your inner freedom. Frankl watched fellow inmates who had lost everything: family, possessions, health, hope of survival. Yet they chose how to respond to their suffering. He witnessed prisoners sharing their last piece of bread with others. He saw men walking through the barracks comforting fellow prisoners, even when they themselves were dying. These people had discovered what Frankl called the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose your attitude in any given circumstances. Now contrast that with modern America. How many people do you know who have everything they need, yet feel completely powerless? They have freedom of movement, freedom of choice, freedom of expression, yet they feel trapped by their mortgage, their job, their social expectations, their need to maintain an image. Here's the paradox that Frankl identified. The prisoners who survived weren't necessarily the physically strongest or the most privileged. They were the ones who found meaning in their suffering, who had a reason to live beyond their immediate circumstances. But what about you? You're not in a concentration camp, yet how often do you feel like a victim of your circumstances? Your boss, your bills, your responsibilities. How often do these external factors determine your mood, your decisions, your sense of self-worth? Frankl realized that Americans had become prisoners of prosperity. They had traded their inner freedom for external comfort. They had everything to live with, but nothing to live for. The question that will change everything: are you living your life, or is your life living you? Let's destroy some sacred cows, shall we? The American dream sells you 3 massive lies, and Frankl's work exposes every single one of them. Lie number 1: follow your passion and you'll never work a day in your life. Frankl would call this psychological poison. Why? Because passion is an emotion, and emotions are temporary. When you build your life around chasing feelings, you become a slave to your moods. Real meaning comes from serving something greater than yourself, not from serving your fleeting desires. Lie number 2: success equals happiness. This is perhaps the most destructive myth of our time. Frankl studied thousands of patients who had achieved everything society told them would make them happy: wealth, status, recognition, yet they were miserable. Success without meaning is just sophisticated suffering. Here's what they don't tell you. Happiness cannot be pursued directly. It's a byproduct of living meaningfully. The more you chase happiness, the more it eludes you. It's like trying to catch your own shadow. The harder you run toward it, the faster it runs away. Lie number 3: you can have it all. This is the cruelest lie because it sets you up for perpetual dissatisfaction. Frankl understood that meaning comes from making choices, from saying no to some things so you can say yes to what truly matters. When you try to have everything, you end up having nothing that really fulfills you. But here's what's really happening. The system needs you to believe these lies because your dissatisfaction is their profit. Every time you feel empty, you become a consumer. Every time you feel inadequate, you become a customer. Your existential crisis is their business model. So what's the alternative? What did Frankl discover that the American dream is desperately trying to hide from you? Here's where everything changes. Frankl didn't just diagnose the problem, he created the cure. And it's simpler than you think, but harder than you imagine. First, stop asking, what do I want from life, and start asking, what does life want from me? This single shift in perspective will revolutionize everything. You see, the American dream has trained you to be a taker. Take opportunities, take success, take happiness. But meaning comes from being a giver. Frankl discovered 3 pathways to meaning that no amount of money can buy. First, create something or do a deed that serves others. Not for recognition, not for profit, but because it needs to be done. Second, experience values, love, beauty, truth, that connect you to something beyond yourself. Third, transform unavoidable suffering into personal growth. Here's a practical exercise that will blow your mind. For the next week, instead of asking, how can I be happy today? Ask, how can I be useful today? Watch what happens to your sense of purpose, your energy, your satisfaction with life. But here's the real secret Frankl uncovered. You don't find your meaning by looking inward. You find it by looking outward. The more you focus on serving something greater than yourself, the more fulfilled you become. It's the ultimate paradox. And if you've made it this far in this video, you're already demonstrating something powerful. You're choosing growth over comfort, truth over convenience. Write the word freedom in the comments below if you're ready to break free from the matrix of meaningless consumption. I want to see how many of you are truly ready for this transformation. You've come this far. Don't stop now. The final revelation is coming. The question is, are you ready to take responsibility for your own liberation? This is it. This is your moment of truth. Right now, you have a choice that will determine the rest of your life. You can close this video, go back to scrolling, and pretend you never heard what Frankl discovered. Or you can do something that terrifies the system. You can choose to live authentically. Here's what your revolution looks like. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you dive into the endless cycle of productivity and consumption, ask yourself one question. If I died today, what would I regret not having done? Not what you didn't buy, not what status you didn't achieve, what meaningful contribution you didn't make. Frankl's final lesson is this: you are not here to live up to anyone else's expectations. You're not here to fulfill your parents' dreams, society's standards, or your own ego's demands. You're here for a reason that only you can discover and only you can fulfill. But here's the warning. The moment you start living authentically, the system will fight back. Your friends might not understand. Your family might worry. Society will try to pull you back into the comfortable prison of conformity. This is the test. This is where most people surrender their freedom for security. Don't be most people. Frankl survived Auschwitz not because he was stronger, but because he was clearer about his purpose. You have that same power. You have that same choice. Every single day. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. This is not a practice run. The meaning you're searching for isn't hiding in your next purchase, your next achievement, or your next relationship. It's hiding in your willingness to serve something greater than yourself. The American dream promised you freedom but delivered slavery. Now it's time to write your own dream. What will you choose? Comfort or growth? Security or meaning? The crowd or your calling? The revolution starts now. The revolution starts with you.